Hi Pisces. So let's start with your reading, and my apologies in advance. I still am sick. I started readings yesterday and I promised myself it's going to be 10 minutes or so, but it started to go on because I always want to kind of like turn every stone, and I started to feel sick, so I have to limit this to 10 minutes. My apologies. And also my apologies for coughing. At least I'm talking. So Two of Fire is something that jumped out. It's kind of like indecision. What do I do? Am I going to stay in this environment where I am? Am I going to stay in this relationship? Is the path that I'm on the best for me? How do I go? Where do I go from here? Okay. So Pisces for Aquarius transition, that's January 23rd to February 19th. So let's start. You have 10 of Sky. It's reversed. So which is good. Look at this kitty. He has lost his eyes. Let me just zoom it out so you can see a bit more. He has lost his eyes. He has lost his, if you wish, will to go forward. He just like knows one way, and one way it is. He's going to lose his last life over here, but it's not stage 9 of 9 lives. It is stage 10, and it is reversed, which means at this stage some healing is taking place for you guys, and that healing is basically about some kind of sharpness. You have been maybe a subject to psychic intrusions. Maybe there were harsh words, maybe there were arguments, maybe you just kind of like were not in your comfort zone for a while, and you're feeling really literally like a fish out of the water, and that created conflicts. I would say it is time to heal them. It is time to turn a new leaf, and it is like really referring to something in the past with the Ace of Wands over here. It's like something that maybe you hoped it will go forward, and maybe it shouldn't go forward. Maybe this is simply a reason why you're not moving forward, because it is really, really difficult to do that. And then you have 5 of Earth reversed. Sorry, I will have to keep stopping when I need to cough, so my apologies. This is the proverbial card where, you know, kitty is looking discomfort, this other 2 kitties, and I don't know if you can see it, if it's going to zoom it in or not. Like, my camera is very frisky. I probably should switch to my other camera, because here you would see 2 cats snuggling together with plenty of food and with a fireplace working in the background. And it almost like it makes us feel, oh, poor kitty, he's not getting what he should be getting. But it's reversed. It is actually understanding that freedom has its own benefits, that we can explore, that we can do things, that maybe it's not going to be easy. We still have some work ahead of us, but nonetheless, it is like something that we should anticipate. So the past was, you have resolved some karmic issues, guys. And I know that maybe sounds like very fluffy for those of you who maybe don't go as deep to spirituality as I do. But this basically means that you have come to this planet to achieve something. You have come here to do certain things. You want to meet certain people. You want to replay certain scenarios, like a Groundhog Day if you haven't seen the movie. And you wanted to get a different outcome. That means resolving some karmic issues. Karma is the wheel. It keeps spinning. We keep, resolving one issue, another one pops up, and then we get high and low in the same issue. When this card shows up, this is really, really good. It really tells me that something has been resolved. You kind of like paid it forward. Certain things happen, and sometimes it's really weird. People, we kind of like steal sometimes things in fairy tale terms. Well, it was resolved, and why am I not feeling excited? Why am I not feeling on top of the world? You must feel that the worst is behind you. You must feel resurrected. This is like very scorpionic, very much Pluto. Like it's something that has been stretched over a period of time, that has been really deep. Maybe it was like something that felt like, we call this baggage, but it was the baggage that you had. It can also talk about the universal justice, it's called judgment in the other decks, universal sense of relief. So certain things from the past that maybe you don't want to repeat are not going to repeat. If you do want them to repeat, it almost looks like you'll be prevented and you'll be pushed in a different position because you have to go there. And also, like, look, you have a 5 of C. So now we have like these 2 5s, 5 of Pentacles and 5 of C. Interestingly enough, some people here do not like reversal cards, right? So 5 of Cups, like 5 of Cups reversed. And it's really interesting. This is reunion card. It's reversed. It's saying no reunion, right? This is saying something has been resolved. Maybe the contract that you have with someone is over. Maybe you do not have to play it. Sometimes you have this almost acrimonious relationship with the other people. Could be at work, could be in your personal relationship. It's like, yeah, we are at each other's faces, right? And then all of a sudden this stops. All of a sudden there's peace, there's quiet. So healing has to take place. Like, right, 10 after 10, the best card to come through is 1. And then 5 and 5 is 10, which is another 1, basically. I'm seeing this shift happening. Something really, really good is happening, right, over here. And it's in terms of how you see a relationship, right? It's like, for those of you who don't like reversals, like all the reversals other than Ace of Fire here are really good, actually better than the upright. So this is like, hey, you know, look, I have been embarrassed by the situation. I have ended up in a situation where I didn't want to be. I'm not seeing anything. But this is now past that. This is like where you kind of like finally jump back on your feet. Some people even say somebody's coming back. But this card is saying somebody's not coming back. So this could be that maybe you anticipate somebody's return and that somebody really does come, and then you say, I don't know. I do not know if this is the best I can do in life. So let's see what's happening imminently. Earth Queen. I think you're setting down and putting your foot down and setting your own rules. Earth Queen is like, to me, like, I mean, the best queen to really get, especially when it comes to domestic relationship or your position at work, for example. It tells me about somebody understanding that has to be a comfy kind of like position and comfy way of looking at it, and looking from basically a little bit elevated position. So there's like really more that she has absorbed. While it is emotional component, when it comes to Pentacles, it's also very pragmatic. She's also very pretty. You might be guys spending an entire month kind of like working on kind of like ability to how you present yourself to the world, and what is important in work, and who are the people you really want to deal with, who are not. This also tells me that in terms of, let's say, personal relationships, so let's say if you are in a relationship, you're going to say, you know, I do want to get married. It's very important for me. I want to have my own, like here, you want to have a home with someone badly. But here you're saying, look, maybe I was sending the wrong message to the universe. I wanted and I focused on this thing, right? Like, we want to win this $1 million from the lottery, and this is entire focus. Where instead of like saying just, you know, I need this money to come my way, then maybe karma will be pulling it from kind of like all different pockets. But since you're very specific, then maybe you have to wait in line, you know, for this to happen, and maybe not in this lifetime. That's kind of like how it works. As you can imagine, there are lots of takers and hopers. So this, I think it's very similar. You are getting to the stage when you're realizing, you know what? I really have to figure out what works for me, and I cannot kind of play this game with sweaty palms. Everybody knows that, you know, there are like certain issues that I have, so I need to work on them. I need to accept myself. I need to love myself. And this also comes about communicating to the others what you really want. This is really good position over here that I see. Actually, the entire cross is really good. This really tells me that it is you who do not want certain things to repeat and continue. Oh my gosh, after this card is the World, but the World is reversed. You're like really, and I mean the fish is presented with 2 fishes swimming past each other in a different direction. So I really think you guys here are, this is not a great card, let me be honest with you, when it reverses, because here it's like I'm on top of the world. I have resolved something, but there is like some kind of resentment. So you are aware that you need to kind of like swim this way, but you keep coming back. You keep coming back to some issues. You need to, it's almost like you are this dam, and it's, let's say, poisoned where you are. But it's everything that you have ever known, everything that you have ever experienced. and flipping over. It's like, oh my gosh, where I'm going to jump, am I going to survive, how will I do it? Lots of those thoughts are coming, and so basically that a little bit scary feeling back and forth is manifesting here, that I see for you. So this is really telling me you're still not claiming the world is mine. When are you going to do that? You need to kind of like really kind of like figure it out that you really need to go in this direction. So second for me. So let's see the environment. The environment is like fire kitten. So it is like somebody who is like lukewarm about some situation. Somebody, and maybe this is like you're dealing with some person from the past. If there is like a new person coming in your environment, you're going to be way more powerful in what you want. And I really think this is what it is. Maybe sometimes it feels like, oh, I wish this person likes me, or I wish, then so-and-so invites me out on a date. But here I see there's like some kind of like misfit, and there's like something that might not work entirely. And yet you have the Emperor reversed, and this is in hopes and fears, so it's being interpreted both ways. You want control, you want stability in a situation, but at the same time you fear that something and somebody can actually pull this away from you, right? I mean, these are very similar energies that are getting together. You are almost like in a position where you want certain things to come your way, where you feel comfort, when you feel at home. And people come across your path. They appear to be interesting, but they're almost like childish. They're almost like not on your level. They're like pulling this kind of like, oh, I love you to death, and then just like they vanish. You might have lots of these things happening, and that's because you need to be very clear on what you want. Because hey, you know what, like, I mean, it's going to be really, really hard to pull wool over your face this particular month, because you will actually really know what you want, and you'll be very clear about it. This is, look, I really appreciate you for who you are, but this is not what I need at this stage. So you will really have to be very determined. Like, how I said you focus on the lottery and you might not be getting what you should be getting, but here you actually really need to focus on something, because you're getting all this kind of like possible options, and instead you really need to focus on the option that seems to be kind of like really clarified for you this particular month. And you have another Ace of Earth, also reversed. It is really telling you that this month is going to be about you. This month is going to be about strengthening yourself, realization of who is that you need, and almost like that energy is going to start developing around you, because some of you felt deep for somebody, felt in a relationship with somebody who might just played around. It just like was taking this for a ride. They kind of like didn't see the potential, didn't know in which kind of like direction to go. And clearly you need to kind of like get rid of all of those weeds. You need to kind of like figure out that, hey, who is here to stay, who is here to go, and how do I nourish myself? So let me clarify a few things, because you have a really few cards, like, I mean, especially the World and Earth Queen, that are extremely, extremely positive. Let's see this, and let's see this. And I also want to see why you are kind of like making those decisions with the Ace of Pentacles. So the World, we are seeing conversations, we are seeing money, and we are seeing pleasure seekers. So it might be that some of you in counseling over here. It might be that some of you are staying in the old situation because you're really maybe wondering, especially for those of you who are in a living situation, you're wondering how financially you're going to be. Maybe there's like the little secret, kind of like you're just secretly hoping things are going to work out. For some of you, it might be involvement of either that you're dealing with a party animal, or that you don't feel comfort exactly about the stability of this relationship. This pleasure seekers it's kind of like dual card. It can be both. It can be very positive, it can be negative, because here clearly you're surrounded with your friends. It's like kind of like what really jumps at me. We see women here and we see men, and there's like polarization, possibly that kind of like how we perceive. Maybe also there is no meeting of the minds. What you want and what is your world is not their world. And maybe it just kind of like boils down to that. It almost looks to me that you're more looking for the future and how to establish yourself, how to secure, how to kind of like put a nest egg, where somebody is like really right now in the moment. So it's just like not a fit, right, to this stage. There's like time to play, but there's a time to kind of like realize stuff. So again, some of you, we have the Lord, we have Sweetheart, and we have Fortune. So some of you might have been involved with somebody who is prosperous, or this could be you, that you're kind of like trying to get to this level of prosperity and kind of like absorbing kind of like all the gifts and goodies. But at the same time, some of you are realizing the futility of some kind of relationship, and you're realizing that maybe your fortunes are entirely tied to this person. Maybe that realization is sort of like snapping you out of, let's say, that inactivity, and there is realization, hey, you know what, I have to do something about it. I have to be self-sufficient. I have to kind of like figure out how to stand on my own feet, because I'm going to feel more confident. Guys, trust me, the more independent you are, the better your decisions are going to get. So the Ace of Earth, which is the foundation, which is kind of like building and growth of something, we have a house, we have waiting, and then again we have cheerfulness. But the cheerfulness card always creeps me out. Maybe you're waiting for somebody to make a decision. Maybe some of you are dealing with a guy who is in a different relationship where lots of promises have been made, but they're just promises. You actually don't see action. There's always lots of excuses about this, and it's making you furious, but at the same time you're hearing lots of stories that are making you kind of like stick around. You need to start looking at actions, and that's what Queen of Pentacles does. And that's why you're going to say, look, I really don't understand. What am I supposed to wait for? Why am I waiting for this? Am I not a catch? And I somehow have to do all of that. I do understand, like maybe somebody is dealing with somebody who is taking care of, let's say, an elderly parent, and the situation is not right. But then you have to kind of like take things in account, right? Where is your happiness, and how long has been this going on? The house is like a very strong card, especially when it comes as clarification, which is really telling me that you're looking in your future, and you're saying, well, if this continues for the next 5 years, I'll be 5 years older, and 5 more years I'll be actually working through the situations. How about and some of you are not going to make lots of motions. As I said, you're going to go forward, you're going to go backward. And it's really the truth here is that you really need to figure out what you want. And that is going to really, really help you. I also want to check that Emperor as the last thing. And we have Old Woman, we have Gift, and we have Thought. To me, this is all about, maybe you're dealing with a partner, or you might be dealing with a partner who is going to be, let's say, very generous, who is going to pacify lots of things that you know that shouldn't be happening. Example, you're dealing with somebody who is making decisions, who is still dating other people, and you don't feel comfortable about that, but you keep staying in that relationship. And maybe you have a mother, maybe you have a therapist, maybe even this tarot reading is something that is going to help you reach the decision. And that's maybe either gift to yourself, that you're saying to yourself, well, you know, maybe it's the second best, but you're going to be spending lots of time thinking about that, right? Lots of time thinking about pros and cons, almost like you'll be like an earth sign, this particular transition, and it's going to be really helping you set sail for the future endeavors. So you guys will really need to kind of like figure it out. And also it's very important, and this is the next phase of my readings that I'm doing. Check it out. The link is provided at the very end. Sort of like more like personalized. This is generic for the Pisces, but I'm going to have this kind of like pick your own pile, and that way you will really know which one of these messages was more kind of like funneled toward you. So check this next, and thank you very much, guys. As I said, consider subscribing, and hopefully you're going to find that some of messages are going to take you to a better path and to a better place. And if you want a reading with me, contact me via cattarot.ca. And thank you so much for being here, and all the best. And until the next time, I love you.